Good morning. Welcome to the Bond Sunday morning services. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate it. You can get involved by calling 800-411-2663, 800-411-BOND, or email me church@bondinfo.org, church@bondinfo.org. And good morning to everybody here.
Good morning.
We're going to be celebrating our anniversary next Saturday, 20 years. And it is amazing. I hope that everybody and their mama are coming. I was over at the hotel yesterday. It was a very nice hotel right at the airport, so we should have a good time. And make sure you invite all of your friends and their mama. All right? Nobody's going to leave disappointed. It's not going to be a political thing. It's just a major celebration for the nonprofit organization. All right? So I'm looking forward to it. I've been thinking about the 20 years of, I went and saw a video. One of the guys is working on a video that he's going to show at the event of the 20 years. Kind of give you a reminder of what we've gone through. And it's just amazing what has happened in 20 years. A lot of that stuff I have forgotten about that we've done, but a lot have gone on. And then I've had different haircuts. I saw one where I have a part in my head, a short haircut, I had long haircut, I had a beard, no beard, half a beard, fat, skinny, old, middle age. I mean, you see the changes that you go through in 20 years. It's amazing what has happened. So we're going to have a good time, all right? I hope everybody come. And I don't think we're going to have a meeting next Sunday because I'm sure we'll all be worn out from partying all night, being drunk, and not going to want to get up and go to church. So I think we're not going to do it, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Too many hang-ups.
We can't do it probably. It has to be.
You gotta let people know.
It has to be absolute.
Let's say no.
Okay, we say no. We won't have a meeting next Sunday, so you can sleep in. Isn't that nice? I'm looking forward to that. Anybody remember the assignment for last Sunday, from Sunday until today? Oh, you remember? What was it?
No judgment
About?
about anything like right or wrong about people,
Yes.
things.
Yes. And did you do that?
I tried.
You tried not to judge anything as good or bad, right or wrong.
Right.
And how did you do?
Well, I had this incident like with a gardener. And then it was so funny because I was so upset about it. And I even called the police and blah, blah, blah.
You called the police?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 'Cause,
On the gardener?
yeah, on the blowing velocity of the dust and stuff because I take a pill for my lungs.
Right.
And so, and then afterwards when the police said, well, go to the people were on vacation, but they came home. So I went to them and I asked the son, whose mom lives there, answered the door and asked if she could communicate to the gardener to like less blowing speed. Because, I mean, he cranks it. It's really
Right.
loud. I'm in the house, I can't even hear like the TV.
Right.
You can't hear anything. You can smell the gasoline in the house across the street. So, but I noticed their gardening was so beautiful. So my husband's like, wouldn't it be funny if you hired that gardener and just weren't home when he was blowing?
That's
So
right.
that just like made me laugh, like, wow.
Yeah. So you judged the gardener.
I judged the speed of, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Do you realize had you not judged, you could have relaxed with the noise going on and not be bothered by it at all? Because I get that.
Tuesday comes around again, so try it.
I get that around me. We have all kind of gardeners come in. Look like they come every day because there are so many different ones coming. But because I'm not upset about it, it doesn't bother me. I guess
Well, we have gardeners too, but it's really high. I mean,
Right.
extremely high speed. It's turned up cranked so that they can get out of there fast.
Right.
People next door, I asked the gardener, because they used to be our gardeners, to keep it like low to medium, and they do. So everybody else does, but this gardener just ignores you when you come over there. He doesn't
Right.
turn it off. He just looks at blank stare.
Maybe doesn't speak English.
That's what the police said. But no, of course, I do hand signals.
Oh,
He's just disrespectful.
okay.
And I've done it twice now, so that's why I think that combined with the noise is just really,
And the beauty about that, though, God has given you a chance to not judge.
well, now I saw the beautiful work they do. I'm like, slap my
Now
face.
you're going to hire the gardener. Well, okay. So did you realize how difficult, how much you judge everything?
Yeah.
You did.
But after that, then and it wasn't just about that, because the police go, oh, you act like you don't like Mexicans. I go, no, I have 3 goddaughters that are Mexican, I have, a lot of friends that are Mexican. It's not that, it's just like the disrespect with the pollution that
Okay.
really made me.
You just made an interesting point. You said to the police, no, I like Mexicans. I have 3 goddaughters who are Mexicans, right? But that doesn't prove you like Mexicans. I got 3 white friends I don't like.
Well, I like them.
And I'm still racist.
Well, I really like them a lot. I spend time with them.
Just because you have one in the family doesn't mean that you can't be,
Yeah.
that
Well, I
you-
don't know. I'm not racist at all anyway.
I got family members I don't like.
Right, yeah.
So,
Well,
and I say that,
there's people. I don't like judge them by Mexican or not. She brought up the fact that
Right.
this guy was Mexican.
but you don't have to try to prove that you're not a racist by saying that I have
Right.
3 in my family. Just say, no, I'm not. And if they don't believe it, that's on them.
I said it has nothing to do with where they're from. I said
Yeah.
there's a right and a wrong way of doing things.
Right.
And there's a vacuum bag that could be put on the thing so they don't have to blow all the stuff in the
Right.
air.
I have black people working for me, and I'm a racist against blacks. So it doesn't really prove much.
Right.
You have to just say, no, I'm not,
Yeah,
and let them deal with it. Don't say, oh, I have 1 friend.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
no, I have a lot of friends. But,
That's a good point, huh?
yeah,
Yeah. A lot of people do that, but folks going to believe you or they're not going to believe you. So,
right.
yeah. But, okay. So at least you saw how much you judge. That's what I want. The reason I gave that assignment, I want people to be conscious of how much they're judging everything. Because most people don't know that they are. They think it's okay to judge some things, but not other things.
Right, and I think it's also, I grew up in Wisconsin where things were done like in the right way. And that might sound bad or something, but it's like there's a proper way of doing things.
Everything, that's right.
Yeah, and
No, we've lost that in this
common
country.
sense. You don't just be irresponsible and blow all this stuff so that you can get out of there fast. The police officer said, well, they wanted to get out of there fast. Well, that's not my problem that they want to get out of there fast.
Yeah.
You do it the right way, or you don't do it at all. That's the way I was raised. So
Uh,
I think that's,
well, that's gone now.
yeah, I noticed. I run and leave the house for 8
I'm
hours.
telling you. How many people get upset when someone disrespects you? Wow. Wow. You too? And over here? Really? That is profound.
Well, we're taught respect, and, for me, it was the noise, the junk, the smell in the house, across the street. I could smell the gasoline. So the noise, the pollution, and then the fact that I go there, and he just like I'm not even there, just ignores me.
James, why do you get upset when people disrespect you? And give me an example of somebody disrespecting you and you get upset.
Like when one time I worked with some Mexican guys. They picked up.
Everybody hate the Mexican now. Black people, you don't have to worry. It's not on you anymore. They hate the Mexicans.
And like I was working hard kind of, and they were making fun of me, and they just said, take a break.
You were working hard and the Mexicans were making fun of you working hard?
Yeah,
And they told you to take a break?
yeah.
Well, where's the disrespect in that?
It was like they said take a break in like a disrespectful way. Like
They-
like I don't know how to work.
They like, take a break, hunky?
Kind of.
Kind of. And you felt disrespected?
Yeah, I got mad about it.
Oh, okay. How about you?
I've definitely gotten irritated in the past.
When
and
people
something-
disrespect you?
Yes, or I perceive it that way.
Right.
But it's really like me thinking I'm a god and like, no one can do anything against me. But I've definitely noticed that in the past and how it's like situations where I might want to like speak up to someone about like something they're doing, like, someone's like texting in the middle of a movie in the movie theater, there's bright light coming, and I was actually going to ask you a question about that. I don't know if that's going to be
About what?
about when you get irritated, like she was irritated by the gardener's noise.
Right.
And I was, I noticed myself getting kind of irritated by this person, texting. And sometimes there's like a feeling that comes up when I think someone, is disrespecting me or I get
Right.
angry about something they're doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes there isn't. And it's so much easier for me to say something in that instance and there's no judgment behind it or hatred.
Right.
And I held back in this circumstance because I was just sitting there like looking at this irritation. I'm like, well, it's not personal.
But why would you be irritated by someone texting in a movie theater? They're not making any noise, right?
No, it's like it's this bright light. I don't know if you've ever been in a completely dark theater.
Yes.
But like out of the corner of your eye, like there's, this bright light. And I wouldn't think it would bother anyone either, but it's
Right.
just kind of like, because it's so dark in there that it's distracting, basically.
And it irritates you.
A little bit. Which
I
I
would-
feel like,
I would suggest that you not say anything to that person.
right, I didn't.
You'll get shot.
I would get shot.
It's not like they're talking on it in there, right?
Right,
And you don't have to focus your attention on the light.
right,
You just need to relax and enjoy your movie.
Right.
Now, if they were talking or in your way in some other kind of way, that would make sense. But if they're not making any noise, you may create some trouble for yourself.
right. I mean, there are circumstances where you should, right?
Like when they're talking.
Yeah, that's why I say when they're talking or if they're in your way, in your space where you can't really enjoy the movie, but if someone's sitting over here texting, it's not that bright of a light that you have to stop. The only reason you focus on it because you became irritated about the light, then the light became brighter.
Right,
When it's really not that bright, but your anger made the light brighter.
right.
And so I would let that pass. I wouldn't say anything about that.
And just in general, it's a bad idea to say something when you're irritated or when you have a feeling about something.
Yes, it's best not to say anything when you're feeling irritated.
Right,
It's best to let that pass because you made the deal into a bigger deal than what it is.
Right.
And you're going to end up saying the wrong thing and then regretting it later.
right.
So it's best to let that pass. Because you're in darkness right then, you can't really see the right thing to do.
Right.
That's why you got to get over the anger so you can know. Yes.
Yeah, I think there becomes this pressure almost, especially if you sort of bought into the concept of speaking up, where, you feel the pressure to actually say something like you're going to somehow become a person because you're telling them to turn their light off in the theater. And
Yeah.
That doesn't make you more of a person. It's not going to build your self-esteem. In fact,
Do you ever feel disrespected? We talked about that before you came in.
have I, or?
Do you ever feel disrespected?
I have, sure.
And you feel that way sometime now? Disrespected?
I mean, not today yet, but
I know.
these questions are disrespectful. No, I'm kidding.
What made you feel disrespected?
You mean a specific instance?
Yeah, give me something that can make you feel
I
disrespected.
think, when people, say things that I think, sends a message of like they don't understand whether I'm, quote, a good lawyer or this is what I do. I mean, somebody might say, well, what kind of lawyer are you again? And like, known him for 10 years or something. Little things like that, or they might, all of a sudden talk about tennis and try to, give the sense of like, what, did you ever play college tennis? I mean, little things like that where I think that they should know or.
And it made you feel disrespected?
Yeah, I think that there's, what I notice, I mean, beyond just disrespect, is not that, it's that energy of wanting to defend when you feel like somebody, it's like they haven't really said anything negative, but yet you're taking it.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying something negative about you, and then all of a sudden this little flickering of like, I'm going to explain to them, what kind of a tennis player I was, or, what kind of lawyer I am.
Yeah. What kind of lawyer are you now?
I don't even know. If somebody knows, let me.
That is so interesting, man. Good point, though.
Yeah.
Yes, Forrest, you had your hand? Do you ever feel disrespected?
No, but did you see that thing they played on television the other day where this Japanese teacher was in front of her classroom and one of the students was in the front row texting? She walked right up to him, grabbed it, bang!
Yeah. She was feeling disrespected.
That was my favorite.
Yeah. So, but you never feel disrespected?
Oh, yeah, I used to fall in that trap all the time.
Do you ever feel that way now?
No, I'm more understanding now. I used to think, when people said they were disrespected, my reaction was, well, what is there to respect in the first place? But I don't have that anymore. I just feel that everybody has their own circumstances, and there's no reason to disrespect anybody.
So when I was asking you about your lousy coaching,
Yeah.
did you feel disrespected this morning?
No, not even.
That you're the awful worst coach that Malibu has ever seen?
You can't get to me.
He's retired. He has no
Actually,
feeling.
I'm not.
Oh, he's back.
So you feel disrespected?
He's back. It's scary.
Yeah,
And what can make you feel that way?
a couple things. One is, we mentioned what Kelly said if I'm listening to someone and everybody's supposed to be listening, it's another conversation going on. And that happened to me, something like that yesterday when I was in class. I was in film history class and a conversation was going on while we were listening to the movie. And out loud I said, "Shut up." And everybody starts laughing. And they say, "Yeah, they need to be
Yeah.
quiet."
If they're talking, that's a different story.
Yeah. So, or when somebody's trying to talk down to me, that irritates me.
When they talk down to you.
Yeah.
Give me an example of talking down to you.
Like talking to me like I'm a child or something like that. I might have to walk away.
Oh yeah, it really.
I might like flip or something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
One last, Christine, you ever feel that way? Disrespected?
Yes.
And what can make you feel that way?
Probably things that Forrest says to me.
Oh, he makes you feel that way? Oh, who are you? You must be suffering a lot, man.
Isn't that daily? It's a daily.
So Forrest, lay down doing it and wake up.
In his sleep, too.
I'm telling you.
He talks in his sleep.
Wow. Very interesting stuff. Let me just, Irma, you ever feel disrespected?
Yeah,
You do? What can make you feel that way?
I can relate to what Ken is saying, but I was thinking about it. One example came to mind. I had a person at work, one of my coworkers,
You have what?
somebody I work with.
Uh-huh.
And, we have a tight parking situation, so it's also how you ask somebody. You can say, "Hey, can you move your car because so and so needs to get out." But this particular person, will say, "Move your car." He's not the manager. So what I realize is that it's not necessarily, and that there could be. It sounds disrespectful. There's a way you can ask somebody, "Hey, can you move your car?" You don't have to be soft about it. You can be straightforward. But then there's a way that a person can say, "Hey, move your car." It rubs me the wrong way, and I realize that person may just has an issue. So I didn't,
Amazing.
just-
If I felt disrespected by people, I would not be able to function. I could not do the work that I do if I felt disrespected. Because people are absolutely cruel. Even the ones that seem nice can be mean in the next moment. Especially when you have to be honest with them, right? And the first thing that people go after is your ego. They call you names. They want to control you like that because that's a weakness. And nowhere in the Bible that I remember seeing, and maybe you could correct me, where God said that we need to be concerned about somebody respecting us. Or, somewhere can make you feel disrespected. He tells us to respect others, treat people the way you would like to be treated, and you would never have to worry. And all people who are feeling disrespected are people of great egos. They're very angry, judgmental people, and that ego is what you're feeling. because you're getting back what you do to others, the way you think about others, the way you judge others, and it's just coming back on you. That's why you got to lay that ego down. I never, ever, and this is the truth, and I used to feel that way, so I know what it's like to feel disrespected, but I never, ever, 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 but never, never, ever feel disrespected. Never. And people call me all kind of names in front of a crowd. They don't care. They get mad at you. They'll go off and say anything about you right then and there. But I'm so separated from that, and I know how now and why I am, that I feel nothing about it. And I would just, as we were having this conversation, I just remember I had a conversation with someone recently. And they said that they felt angry as we were talking. We were just sitting and talking. But we were saying something, we were talking about the person themselves. And I was surprised that they felt angry because the conversation was smooth and nice. But they said they felt degraded, put down by the conversation. Now I realize it's because they feel that they need to be respected. You don't need to be respected. You need to give respect. Because free people are not looking for someone to respect them. They are an example of that. Christ, just think about Christ. You think people respected Christ for the most part? They called him everything in the book. They deceived him. They went off on him. They did everything to him. He didn't care about that because he loved what was right. His identity was his real identity was coming from love, from truth, from God, and not from the world around you. People who feel disrespected are just insecure people. They want the world to rotate around them to make them feel good about their insecurities rather than overcoming it. And that's not, the world is never going to make you feel respected. You got to overcome the world. You got to lay down your pride. I mean, I could not do my work if I felt. I never think, I see that they're mean. And sometimes I'm surprised that they're mean because I can't feel their pain. I'm surprised that they're feeling pain. But I never think about feeling respect. And I used to be a weak person too, where, oh, you're disrespecting me. I had a person who borrowed some money from me, and I waited a long time and they didn't pay me back. And so I said, you know what, you need to pay me back. Why you not paying me back? And they felt disrespected. They're like, well, I don't respect you anymore. I can't believe you're asking me to put this. And I'm like, what about respecting yourself by paying back the money? You know what I'm saying? Why is it so necessary that they respect me, but they don't respect themselves? You know what I'm saying? And people who are looking for respect don't respect themselves. I respect myself. I love what's right. Now, I wasn't always that way. It was only when God took my anger away and put that little space between me and people that I don't need them anymore. I like myself. I like to be a good example. And you got to overcome your egos. That's not who you are. You're identifying with that. That's why you feel that way. And there's nothing in the world that's going to ever make you feel respected. The world is mean and cruel and is of the devil, and it's going to always do that to you. That's why God said you got to be in it but not of it. And as long as you have this ego, you got to be in it and of it. That makes sense?
Yep.
And a lot of times people are not trying to disrespect you, but because you have this thing going on within yourself, you accuse them of that, and that's not their intent. A lot of times they're surprised that you get mad at them. But you got to lay down your pride. You got to clean up yourself from within so that you can function in the world without feeling that way. Nobody is responsible for the way you feel. No one. Now, parents set us up to be subject to the world, but the world is not responsible about the way you feel. That makes sense?
Yep.
People, you guys sometimes see how they treat me on TV, right? And how they talk about me on the radio and all that. But it's funny. It's like a movie to me. And then the devil come by and say, oh, everybody's listening and stuff. But it's still funny because I know who I am. I know my flaws and I know all that stuff, and I'm not moved by it. My ego is not attached to my flaws anymore. I don't identify with that. You got to get over that. They are not responsible for that. The Mexicans are not responsible for your James. That makes sense? I'm going to read, because of that, I have something that fit right in. Anybody disagree with that? And what we were saying is not judging anything. Because that's what's making you feel disrespected. You're judging that situation, that person, in that very moment. You're saying that they're wrong. You're making the decision about right and wrong, but it's coming back on you. And what that is, you haven't recognized yet that you don't really know who you are. And you identify with your situations. You're closer to identify with your situations in life rather than who you really are. And so that's why that little is still not registering 100% for you. You don't really know who you are yet. People who are feeling disrespect are taking their identity from that. That's why they're hurt, because their identity has been hurt. I thought Kent had a good one when he said he felt disrespected sometimes when people say, what kind of lawyer are you? And the reason is because he hasn't realized that he is not a lawyer. That's just a job that he does. It's not who he is. And when he laid that body down, the lawyer is not going with him. It's going to hang in the office. And so he is not a lawyer. Like when people call me Reverend Peterson sometimes, I feel embarrassed by that because that's not who I am. So I'm like, just call me Jesse. I'm not, and just tell you what kind of work I do. And so when people say, you're not a preacher, I'm like, yeah, you're right. They're saying it to be me, but I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm just Jesse, but Reverend just tell you quickly what kind of work I do. But that's not who I am. Being black is not who I am. You know what I'm saying? I finally can see who I am, and who I am is totally different from this environment that I have around me. Most 99.9999.9% of people have identified with their outer environment, with their situations, whatever it may be, and that's who they become, and that's what, when you deal with that, they're violated by that. Because it means the world to them. Even though it doesn't work, it does give you a false sense of identity. But it's shaky ground because someone can come along and shake you out of it, offend you. But the real you cannot be offended. Did you know that the real you cannot be offended? There's nothing in the physical world that can offend the real you. This is why God said you got to lay down a life in order to receive life. Because as long as you're holding on to these ego-filling things, which is of the devil, you're never going to be free in life. You got to let all that stuff go. You got to seek first the kingdom of God in his right way so that you can drop one life and then discover who you are and start living from within. I'm real funny now at times. You notice that? I can tell funny jokes. You heard me. I made Patrick. See how everybody laughing now? These jokes are coming from inside of me. It's weird. My talent is coming from within. The jokes, everything I do now is coming from within. The way I learn things, everything. It's amazing that everything we are is already inside of us, but our parents and the teachers have dumbed that down by putting pressure on us, by trying to force us to be the way that they are, messed up like them, to learn in a certain way, to act in a certain way. Even a lot of parents I notice now, and mothers seem to have it worse than fathers, they're like praising their children all the time now. Oh, you're so wonderful. Come on, you're so smart. Just do what you do. I love it, constantly praising. And they don't realize they're setting their children up to live off praise. And the kids going to eventually hate them for that because the kids are going to have conflict with who they really are. And so they bring us into this world and they make us worldly. And it disconnects us from that natural way of learning and natural way of being. And for me to tell you this, it's got to be real because I don't have sense enough to know this on my own. I really don't. I'm surprised that I know this, but it's in all of us. When I look back on the last 20 years of my life, 21 years since waking up, I didn't know all this was inside of me. You can't feel it, you can't taste it, you can't touch it, but it's there. And that's why God said, seek the kingdom inside first. The kingdom of heaven is inside of us. It's not on the outside at all. The kingdom of hell is on the outside. And so you got to, and it's right here, I'm not making it up. You got to clean up the cup on the inside before you can clean up the cup on the outside. Isn't that something? You could be free right now if you stop judging anything. Don't judge. You cannot judge right or wrong because you don't know what's right and wrong of yourself. But we've been trained under pressure to be that way. So it seems, and then people say, well, how do you live a life without judging? I went to the store yesterday, and me and another friend, and so this young Filipino girl was serving me, you know, ringing up my items. And I said to my friend, what is the one thing that locked you into the world, that causes you to be addicted to the world? And everybody, most people are addicted to the world, something in the world, right? And he's like, I don't know. What is the one thing? And she was like, I'm like that too. What is the one thing? And there's not but one thing that does it. And we had a very interesting conversation standing there about that. Because she was like, well, you have to judge. I have to judge my boyfriend. Otherwise, how would I know if he's right? And I said, well, you don't know if your boyfriend is right by judging him. You have to wait and see. That's what dating is all about. Just waiting, observing, and seeing. You can't judge because as you're judging him, you are being judged, and you don't want someone to judge you. And she's like, no, he can't judge me. But she's judging him. And then she has conflict from judging him and other things in life. When you judge, you get conflict for yourself. You're not allowed to judge anything. And you can live a life without judging. God said that we should discern. But if you're judging, you can't discern. And if you don't know who you are, you cannot discern. Isn't that something? All right. Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the point about, building up this ego and this sort of feeling, self-disrespect from other people and things like that. What I realized as you were talking and sort of thinking about myself is my ego's created and worked really hard to become this lawyer.
Yes.
And it's all ego. So if something comes out, and it's mostly what people do, is they create an opinion about what they are. And they get really into it. And then the minute somebody says anything, even if it's not a direct, like, so what kind of lawyer are you, that even sort of offends your ego because you're working so hard to be something.
Yes.
That the world can come in and impact you because the ego gets very large. It's like what Pat was saying on Thursday night. It's got a scorecard and it keeps trying to add points onto its scorecard, so it gets bigger, bigger, and bigger.
Yeah.
And then you get self-respect, or you think you have self-respect, and when people say things, you feel disrespected.
Yeah.
About that, and it's.
You should never, ever, 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 but never, ever work at being something. Never do that. You work at being good at what you do, but never work at being something, because all you're doing is becoming nothing. That's all you're doing. If you're working, you can't work at being something, because who you are is spiritual. And if you surrender yourself to God, he'll make you something, or real something. But work at good at being this physical job or thing you're trying to do, but don't get a sense of identity from it, because it's going to pass. It's never going to be the same anyway. The world is constantly changing, and everything in the world is changing. And so as soon as your little identity change, your profession change, then you're not going to feel like anything. And if someone put down what you do, you're not going to feel like anything. You can't work at being, that's another lie that's been told to you. Most of the people who are working at being something ain't worth nothing. You can't trust them. They're easily offended. They can't have a good relationship or anything. The children hate them. And they work all their life to be something. And they never became anything. That makes sense?
Yeah, but that, the thing is, I feel like most people I run into are working at being something.
They are. That's what the problem is. They don't know because generation have told them to work at being something. So they don't know work at to be good at what you do, but don't get a sense of identity from it. because it become your God and it will change.
But that's the big lie that society gives people, because in order to be accepted in society, you have to be something.
That's what, yeah, but don't try to be the hell with society.
I'm just telling you.
Right, you're
what
right.
the rules are. I'm not saying I necessarily want to be accepted. I'm saying that
That's what it is, though.
society has its own morality. And
Yeah.
morality is that you become something.
That's
You
right.
become a great janitor, you become a great boss, or you become a great lawyer. It is all expecting you to be something.
Yes.
That's the ego.
That's all lies from the devil.
But I think you can still be something, but that's the fine line, that you don't let it consume you. Because if you spend like 10 hours a day at work or 12 hours a day at work, you know, I remember when I was in law enforcement and I went to a women's law enforcement conference, and they did say that. They said, you know, that's your job. Make sure that after work you're involved in something that's, you know, away from your job, because you don't want all your identity to just be your job, because you do spend so much time there.
But you don't want any of your identity to be your job, because that's not who you are.
Right, but
You're
that's,
not-
so it's hard because you spend so much time there.
Right.
If you're good at it, you do spend time there.
But if you had things in order, if you were seeking first who you really are, the kingdom of God within, you wouldn't have to spend all that time trying to be something else, because you would have perfect peace. And when you put your hand to do things, you would do it right, and you can move on. Your life is not consumed by your job. But if you're trying to be something from that job, get any sense of identity, then you got to spend forever there, because it's never completed. You know, you know what I'm saying? You always got to do something, and then you got to keep it up here so you don't fall back down and feel less than this job that you have.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
It is, but it's hard because you're in, you know, there's things that are expected of you, and
Right.
you do want to do a good job because that's been ingrained in you from childhood.
Yes.
So you do want to properly, things take time. You properly document, you properly do this and this. It does take time. So, I don't.
But
know.
God said that, and see,
I care about, like, you know, the ego things that a lot of the guys around me cared about. I just wanted it to be complete so that if somebody else had to pick up my job, I got transferred or something, it would be ready.
right, and you could do that without getting a sense of identity from it. You know, it's not who you are, it's just a job you're doing.
Yeah.
A person who is seeking first the kingdom of God, they're going to do what's right anyway. The boss doesn't have to be looking for them to do the right thing.
Right.
But a person who is getting a sense of identity from it, it's a struggle. They get mad at you, they're going to mess up the job. You know, they're going to do something. And see, the job situation is going to change.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why God said, be careful where you lay up your treasure. Wherever your heart is where your treasure is, right?
Right.
So wherever your mind is, that's where your treasure is, and your treasure will change. Things of the earth fades away. It's never the same.
Yeah.
But if your heart is in the right place, then the things around you will be constantly changing, but you will not be affected by it, because your treasures are not built up on that. It's built up on the kingdom inside. That makes sense?
Yes.
I love this. Thank you, God, for this. Let me take this young lady. She's been waiting a while. Yes, Sonia.
I think it's a little off subject,
But it's okay.
but I noticed something while I was doing a meditation. I remember a while back you were saying all thoughts are from the
A
devil.
little louder for me, okay?
I remember a while back you were saying all thoughts were from the devil,
Yes.
even good thoughts or something like that.
Yes.
And I think maybe I'm starting to see it, because when I was meditating, even this morning, I watched how thoughts kept coming in my mind, and even how something came in my mind that kind of embarrassed me.
Yes.
And there was nobody around, but it was just me. And I was thinking throughout the day, and every day that's how it happens, and your thoughts make you act.
Yes.
And it makes you angry, it makes you happy, you know. And I noticed that while I've been meditating, how throughout the day I don't even recognize it, but when I meditate, everything, you know, is open,
Yes.
and your head is clear, and you're not even thinking about anything.
That's why it's so important to be still and know God. And you're 100% right. I can't even add to it. What caused you to not pray then, knowing this, seeing the difference? Why don't you stay with the prayer so you can stay connected to your Father?
can't even, I think especially when it comes to night, I stay up, I don't want to give an excuse. I guess I stay up too late and I'm studying all the time and then I end up falling asleep.
How about in the mornings?
Yeah, I meditate in the morning.
Every morning?
Yes.
Every morning?
Yes.
One more time before the cock crows.
Yes. Even if I do something, I'm like, oh, I forgot to meditate, so I go back and meditate. But in the night, yeah.
But you're not getting up early in the morning and making it your first thing?
No.
Oh.
So I have to go back and meditate.
Oh. I advise, God said for us to seek him first early in the morning. So why not follow that request? It's not like he didn't have anything else to do and decided, you know what, let me just tell them to pray early. My last thing I want them to do. I would get up and have that quiet time first because the devil is constantly working on your mind. I mean, even when you're sleeping. You can open your eyes and he'll cause you to think about something that happened yesterday, and you'll go out and shoot the person for what they did yesterday.
That's true.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
He'll make you angry. He'll make you angry just by opening up your eyes because he's already working on your mind. Isn't that true? But God wants you separated from him because every thought you get is a lie. Every one of them. There's no such thing as positive thinking. And if you're paying someone to teach you that positive thinking is right, get your money back and bring it here. Really, you're going to get better result from it. If they're teaching you to think positively, they're setting you up to fail. Because every high brings another low. Every high brings another low. God wants you to observe life, be an observance of life, be guided by the light, not by your thoughts. Isn't that amazing? And so you got to stop. Come and read something for me. You got to stop judging. You got to observe. You got to get past hating mama. Life is not about hating mama and talking about hating mom and daddy all your life. I forgot I used to resent my parents. It doesn't even seem like I ever resented them. It's time to move forward. You know what I'm saying? But there are a lot of people like stuck on hating mom and daddy. 50 years later, what's wrong with you now? I hate my parents. They got the truth, but they still hate their parents. I want to, because of time here, this has been so nice, huh?
Yes, sir.
I
I like it when you come so that we can fellowship. What are you thinking about? You're looking crazy.
What am I thinking about? I'm just thinking, looking at myself, because sometimes I realize that I can, if I say something to somebody and I mean it, if I say I'm going to do something, I do follow through, and I try not to be flaky at all and stuff like that. But yet I have to look at myself. I actually don't trust myself sometimes,
Yeah.
because I could switch.
You can switch, huh?
Yeah, on myself.
Yeah,
It's
of
not
course.
on other people. It's like, oh yeah, I'll do it. I mean it, but then when it comes to me, I neglect myself.
Yes.
You know.
That's what anger does for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who looked the best in their glasses? Oh, thank you.
She's just saying because she wants to get saved.
I want you to read Matthew 23, verse 25 through 20. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, start right here, 23. And I want you to stop at 28, which would be right here, okay?
Sure.
Matthew 23, chapter 23, verse 25 through 28.
Alas for you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You pay your tithe of mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, good faith. These you should have practiced, those not neglected. You blind guides, straining out gnats and swallowing camels. Alas for you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of cup and dish, and leave the inside full of extortion and intemperance. Blind Pharisee, clean the inside of cup and dish first, so that it and the outside are both clean. Alas for you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You're like whitewashed tombs that look handsome on the outside, but inside are full of bones of the dead and every kind of corruption. In just the same way, from the outside you look upright, but inside you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness.
Thank you. God is mean, huh? Calling the preachers bag of bones and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Ken. And what he's saying there is that you're going to teachers and preachers and pastors and professionals who are deceiving you. They have you looking on the outside instead of looking within, and they put pressure on you and teach you in a way where you forget to even look within, or because as children we know how to do that, but they take it away from us. And the reason that they're taking it away because they don't know either. They don't know. They don't know how to get you to go within and clean that up first, meaning get rid of your anger. Stop judging. Know that you are a spirit and not a situation in life. You know, you're not your projects in life. You're not a lawyer. You're not a nurse. They're just a job that you perform. You are a spirit. You know, you have God's identity, and that's who you are. You are a living being. You're not a job. You're not a fancy party that you go to. You are a living being. And most people don't know that they're living beings, so they got these hypocrites, blind idiots, keeping you away from it, and you're suffering through life. You got to reverse that. You got to go within and clean up inside. And the first thing is to stop hating. You got to stop hating. You got to stop hating so you can stop judging. Because you're never going to be happy when you're hating. And we all go through stuff. But if you stop hating, you're going to go through it in a different way. It's going to be just a situation in your life and not who you are. But you got to clean up the cup on the inside. You got to let go of your ego, which is of the devil. Then you will stop judging. Then you will have the mind of God. Then you will live. You really will. There's nothing else that's going to give you life. Everything else is death. But you got to clean up this hypocrisy on the inside. And most people are hypocrites, all in the name of Jesus. When you are angry, when you're worried about someone judging you, you're overreacting, it's because you need to clean up your cup from within. It's not that person, it's you. You have the problem. And when people can make you feel good, they can also make you feel bad. Because the problem is with you. You got to clean up the house on the inside first, and then you'll clean up on the outside. It will give it life. You know, you'll naturally start cleaning up in your outer environment as well. It's not enough to, go looking good, nice haircuts, dressing well, and acting phony. It's not going to bring you peace, because when you are alone, reality will set in. You're going to feel like nothing. Isn't that true?
Very true.
You must be born again. But it starts with you first. It starts on the inside. I recommend you get up in the mornings early. Even if you don't have to go to work, you can go back to bed and have that quiet time. Sit quietly so you can know God. You got to let go. You got to let go. You got to let go all that you think you know so that you can discover from within. And I'm not making this stuff up. This stuff is so real. For me to be saying it, anybody can do it, because all of you out here and out there are smarter than me. You guys have degrees and everything, right? So you're smarter than I am, but I'm happier. I have a sound mind. Yes, ma'am.
Someone said, how many times can you be reborn again?
I'm sorry?
How many times
How many times what?
to be reborn?
I'm sorry?
How many times to be reborn?
How many times to be reborn? I don't understand the question.
How many times can you be
Reborn
reborn? How many times can you be reborn? That's your question.
Oh, only one time. I mean, you know what I mean?
I know.
Oh, I don't even understand that question. How many times do you go in and out of your mama womb? Did you ask that question?
Yeah.
Oh,
That was my question.
what made you ask that?
Because you have to clean yourself, you say, and then you add to that you have to be reborn. And that thing comes and goes, and I have heard people saying, I'm a reborn Christian, and they were reborn five, 6 times. And then that's why, how many times can, unless you change yourself.
Okay,
Reborn.
next time you hear someone say that they've been reborn 5 or 6 times, you put the cross on them and tell them that they're a liar and the truth is not in them.
So that's why, how many times, just you have.
Only one time.
You have to be willing to change yourself. And
Well, you have to be willing to stop trying to change yourself because it's a spiritual thing, right?
Exactly.
It's spirit, and you cannot change yourself. And when you can realize that and stop resenting that, then you will be changed. And once you enter in, you're locked in. You can't come out. You can't go in and out. It's only one time that you can do that. And most Christians are not born again. They just have it in namesake only.
Yeah.
And they have identified with the lying preachers who said, come down to the front and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And they felt good about it, but it didn't work. It didn't save them. And so that's why they keep doing it over and over again. They have not been really born again. They have identified with the preacher. So that's why they're saying, when you go in, you can't come out. That question was after the Bible. How many times can you be born? Something like that. Yes?
I have a question. If you're born again, can you be tempted?
I'm sorry?
If you're born again, can you be tempted?
Yes, ma'am. You're always going to be tempted.
But then if you're tempted, don't you fall again?
No.
Then what do you, then, I don't understand.
Good question. Next Sunday,
Today.
because we don't have time to get into it, next Sunday I want to talk about being born again. Because that is misunderstood too. And wow, it's such a perfect question. How many of you are born again?
Won't be here next Sunday.
Oh, we won't be here next Sunday. You guys are going to have to suffer for 2 long weeks. But I love that question, and 2 Sundays, or Sunday from next Sunday, we'll deal with it. Because you cannot, when you are born again, you are not given to temptation. You will be tempted, but you won't give in to temptation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, it just will not happen, and I'll tell you why next time we meet.
Because Christ was tempted.
That's right. Now, you can ask God to show you what that means. You don't have to wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But if you want to suffer, you can wait 2 weeks. All right. I appreciate the feedback today. I hope, did this help a little bit?
Yes.
So all you little easily offended people, you better be glad you don't hang around children, because kids will say some of the worst thing, that they look at all your flaws and point them out right in front of everybody. And if your feelings can be hurt, don't hang around with children. Have you noticed that? Yep. You can't be offended if you're born again. Thank you for tuning in. See you at the party Saturday night. I hope you come. Thank you, guys. Thank you, man.